Today we are going to talk about 20 facts which everyone who's thinking about getting these wonderful fluff stars should keep in mind. Fact number 1, which you absolutely must keep in mind, is that a rabbit is large. For some reason, everyone seems to think that if they get a pet rabbit, it will be a small animal that won't take up much space in the house. It will be cute, tiny and won't cause any trouble. In reality, small breeds of rabbits are very rare, and even the smallest of them weigh at least a kilogram or kilo and a half, which means a bit more than 2 pounds, or more often about 3 pounds. And even rabbits that are considered decorative can weigh up to 5 pounds. It's true that they are smaller than the ones bred for meat, but they are not small animals in and of themselves. They are comparable to a cat in size, but they aren't as convenient to live with. Fact number 2 is that rabbits are smart. They are very intelligent, and this is actually not well known to many people. I think that the misconceptions about rabbits are related to the way their eyes are positioned like this. In reality, they have these eyes because they want to have a good view. In the wild, everything hunts them, so they need to be vigilant and see as much as possible of what's happening around them. But maybe because of this, they look like they don't understand anything. Far from it. Rabbits can easily remember their name, learn tricks, and use a litter box. Therefore, if you wanna have a pet rabbit, remember that it will be smart and cunning, and it will require different toys and activities to make its life wonderful and interesting. Fact number 3, yes, rabbits can use a litter box. It really makes taking care of them much easier, since they prefer to do their business in one place. Even if you get a rabbit that hasn't been litter trained, you can easily teach them to be cleaner. Try dabbing accidental puddles with a paper towel and placing those in the litter box, or try moving solid waste to where it should be. It's a good idea to place the litter box in places that rabbits like to use as a toilet. For example, many animals prefer it when their toilet is placed directly under their hay feeder, so they can eat hay and defecate at the same time. There is no special requirements for bedding materials in a litter box as long as it's made of natural material. Wood pellets work well, for example, and so on. In addition to dry dropping, rabbits also produce another type of waste called cicatrops. These are small pellets stuck together in a cluster. They are smaller than the regular stool and resemble small clusters of grapes. Normally you shouldn't see them, since cicatrops are just a way for rabbits to get B vitamins. Eat them immediately after producing them. This is also an important fact to know. Rabbits like and need to eat their poop, and that's normal. Fact number 4 is incredibly important. Rabbits are not grain-eating animals. To this day, feed manufacturers all over the world continue to produce grain-based feed for rabbits. But this is a cruel misconception that harms the health of many animals. If you find grain or muesli in the feed or treats you purchased at a pet store for your pet, it means that you should simply throw this feed away, even if there is a picture on the rabbit of the package. Most likely, the trend of adding grain to rabbit feed came from farming. They often feed rabbits high-calorie feed because meat producers are not very concerned if the animals become obese or live very short lives. Their priority is for the animal to gain a large amount of weight in a short period of time. But if we keep a rabbit as a friend, then we should look at what food is most natural for them and what kind of diet can ensure they live the longest and healthiest life possible. And if we are talking about the natural diet of rabbits, they are not birds. They don't fly from one ear of wheat to another, and they don't crack open grain shells. Rabbits sit in the grass and eat raw, often already dry, wild herbs. Also, you shouldn't give rabbits a large amount of sweet food. Like all of us, they love various fruits and berries. And in nature, if rabbit finds a fallen fruit or a bush with berries, it will feast on it. But we must understand that in nature, they won't be able to find these treats in large quantities. So it naturally follows that sweet food at home should be given them very rarely and in small amounts. Sugar causes extra fermentation in intestines and can cause bloating or even gastrointestinal stasis. This is a very dangerous and painful condition for rabbits when the work of their intestines grinds to a halt. Therefore, fact number 5, it is very important to feed your rabbit correctly. The best diet is coarse, wild and ideally dried herbs, and it isn't possible to completely replace herbs with green leafy vegetables from the store, because these products are grown for humans. They are soft and juicy in order to appear delicious to us. However, rabbits need much coarse food because their digestive system designed in such a way that food pushes itself through, and for it to work properly, the food must be high in fiber. Therefore, the basis of rabbit's diet is, of course, hay. Hay is now sold in practically any pet store. Make sure it is indeed hay. Thin, tasty, nice, but not too coarse, not straw. Hay should be clean without mold, dirt, dust, and it should smell delicious. Rabbits are given hay in unlimited quantities, so that about 80% that all consumed food is hay. And yes, all owners would believe that their rabbit doesn't eat hay, simply overfeed the animal with high-calorie and juicy feeds. All rabbits start eating hay if it is conveniently placed in good hay feeders, when it is always accessible, if it is not laying on the floor and doesn't get stepped on by the rabbit. When all these requirements are met, the rabbit will really perceive hay as fresh and delicious food and start eat it. And all rabbits eat hay in the absence of other food. No one has ever died on hunger with a full bowl in front of them. In summertime, if you have access to clean, nice grass collected in the countryside, far from roads where everything is polluted, and far from farms where there may be pesticides, and if you have a good knowledge of the grass and won't feed your rabbit poisonous bushes, you can let your rabbit treat itself to grass, and it would be really nice. To completely avoid problems with digestive systems, it is better to dry the grass before giving it. You can also stock up on hay for your pet yourself. Dry it right at home, tie it into bundles and hang them out to dry. It isn't difficult, it looks cute and gives the house a pleasant natural smell. And as a bonus, the atmosphere of a house where pets are loved and cared for. Only 10%, just 10% of a diet can consist of vegetables. By the way, carrots are not vegetables. In animal husbandry, carrots, pumpkins are not considered vegetables. If you look at their calorie and sugar content, they are practically fruits, and sugar is harmful to rabbits. Carrots can be given very rarely as a treat. The main food is non-sweet vegetables and greens. For example, marrow, cucumbers, salads. As always, I have attached a convenient chart with specific advice on feeding pets in the video description. 80% hay, 10% non-sweet vegetables, and literally 5% pellets. Yes, there are unsuitable feeds for rabbits that have a bunch of grains in them, as if we are raising rabbits for meat on a farm. And there are good feeds, consisting of compressed grass with some useful additives. They are very good in small amounts and rabbits love them. It is important to pay attention to the ingredients. The most important parameters of feed are displayed on screen right now and are also available in the feeding guide, the link to which is attached in the video description. It is also very important to give pellets to growing young rabbits. By the way, young rabbits can't eat juicy greens until they are 4 or 5 months old. They are only fed with hay and given up to 20% pellets, while juicy food is gradually introduced from the 4th month. The The stomachs of young rabbits are extremely sensitive, and greens can easily cause severe diarrhea. And another 5% of the diet can consist of various treats, but never give any yogurt drops or candied dried fruit that also sold for rabbits. God knows why there are rabbits on the package, because those fruits are practically pure concentrated sugar without any benefit, which are categorically forbidden to give to rabbits. As treats you can give your big-eared pet some berries, a small piece of carrot, or something where sugar is present but in moderate amounts. Besides sugar, there are other beneficial substances such as fiber and vitamins. Give treats to please your beloved pet, raise its dopamine level, establish an emotional connection with it, and maybe encourage it to learn some tricks. The list of products that can be used as treats is also available in the feeding table. Here is what a healthy diet for a rabbit looks like. And yes, if you were lucky enough to have a rabbit that lived long and happy on a different diet, it doesn't mean that your diet was correct. It means that you were just lucky and you got a rabbit with very strong health and an iron gut. But as modern scientific and veterinary research shows, not all animals are like that. So you shouldn't boast in social media that your rabbit was well on grain and bananas. Other owners with more delicate pets may use your advice and their rabbit may get seriously ill or die. Very often young rabbits die from diarrhea in the first few days in a new home. If inexperienced owners give them a pile of carrots or lettuce. Adult rabbits having eaten a lot of grain often get gastrointestinal stasis, where muscular contractions of the stomach and intestines completely stop. It is a very dangerous condition and can only be treated in a veterinary clinic. That's why rabbits should be fed correctly. And remember, rabbits are herbivores. Also, rabbits need constant access to clean water. However, there is a lot of debate about whether this water should come from a water bottle or a bowl. Scientific studies show that the myth that rabbits don't drink as much water from water bottles is unfounded. They drink as much water from them as they do from bowls. As always, I will attach links to the studies in the video description. There are many other nuances associated with water bottles, such as the fact that they are harder to clean, so I may have to make a separate video about that. But if you are uncomfortable with the idea of such a large animal having to lick water from a thin nozzle with a ball, then of course you can use a water bowl, but be sure to monitor the cleanliness of the water so that the rabbit doesn't get poisoned by its own water. If pieces of food or feces get in, change it twice a day and get a heavy and stable bowl so that your pet doesn't tip it over and spill the water. Fact number 6. As we have already established, rabbits are big. The average weight of domestic rabbit is around 3 to 6 pounds. You will be very lucky if your rabbit is truly purebred and tiny. I myself have held rabbits weighing only 1 kilogram or 2 pounds, but these cases are rare. That's why rabbits need a lot of space. And all the cages that are sold supposedly for rabbits don't provide these animals with the opportunity to move around normally. Yes, if there is no other option, if rabbits are kept, say, in shelter conditions, then they can be housed in cages. It's desirable to do this temporarily and provide the cages of maximum size, at least 5 feet in length, which means 1.5 meters. But it's preferable to limit them to such a small space only temporarily. If you keep a rabbit as a friend, as a pet, it's desirable to take them out for walks as often as possible. But a much cooler option is to buy, for example, a dog playpen with section, which is sold for puppies, and simply fence off some space in your house where you will lock up your rabbit when you can't keep an eye on them, and let them out to free roam the rest of the time. Or keep them in a separate room, or even without restriction like a kitty. That would be the ideal option. Walks and space solve a lot of psychological problems that arise in cramped conditions, such as irritation and aggression. With the proper housing, you will have a more well-adjusted pet that's nice to interact with, the pet that feels calm, enjoys life, and brings you joy. Fact number 7. The rabbit needs a burrow or a house. Rabbits do need shelter because they are burrowing animals. Only by having the ability to hide in a house does the rabbit feel completely calm. It's best to provide several different options. There are plenty of safe wooden houses on sale that make great shelters. And please never take a rabbit out of its burrow by force. Call them and try to interest them with something if you want them to come out to you, but don't force them out. out. The rabbit wants their burrow to be their safe space, where they can hide and rest from everyone. And don't be offended if the rabbit, especially a female, is a little protective of their burrow and tries to keep you away from it. It's normal. Also, rabbits can protect their droppings from you. They are of great value to them. Sometimes rabbits get upset when you clean their litter box. In this case, it's better to do it in secret from your pet. Fact number 8. Rabbits' teeth grow throughout their entire lives. I would say just like all the other rodents. But rabbits are not rodents. They are lagomorphs. The difference in anatomy and physiology is huge. But when it comes to teeth, they grow throughout their entire lives just like rodents' teeth do. Not just the big front teeth, but also the back molars grow continuously, and both sets of teeth need to be constantly worn down. The density of the rabbit teeth is incredible, and they don't wear down on things like wood and mineral blocks. Rabbits chew on those things just for fun. Providing them with different chew toys can help you keep your furniture intact, but in reality their teeth don't wear down from chewing on these things. By the way, since we have mentioned mineral blocks, it's better not to give them to rabbits. They are sold in pet stores for rodents, but rabbits don't need them, and they can even harm their kidneys because rabbits access calcium through their urine. At the moment, veterinary research suggests that the blocks themselves shouldn't cause kidney stones, which are more likely caused by dehydration and lack of movement, but they can still create some additional unnecessary strain. So we leave the mineral blocks for wolves, for example, and don't give them to rabbits. It won't help to wear down their teeth anyway, because their super strong teeth, both front and back, only wear down against each other while they're chewing raw food. It's another reason why their diet should consist of hay. If a rabbit doesn't constantly chew, their teeth won't wear down and they can grow to threatening in size. Furthermore, where you get a rabbit, one of the reasons to immediately show them to a veterinarian is to check if their bite is correct. Fortunately, malocclusion is a common occurrence, and it can be quite dangerous, because if the rabbit teeth don't align properly, they may not wear down at all, and you will have to visit a vet every month to file them down. Otherwise, they may not only grow forward and injure the lips, but their back teeth can grow straight into their skull, causing excruciating pain, abscesses, and even the animal's death. Therefore, it is important to remember that the rabbit's teeth grew throughout entire their life. Ideally, they should wear down naturally by rubbing against each other. But if this doesn't happen, the teeth have to be filed down at the vets. Fact number 9. Rabbits also need vaccinations. Yes, just like cats and dogs, rabbits can get deadly viral diseases that cannot be cured and can only be prevented by vaccination. These diseases include myxomatosis and rabbit hemorrhagic disease. Typically, it is a single vaccine for this. Whenever possible, try to find a specialist to vaccinate your pet, because, for example, myxomatosis can be transmitted by flies, mosquitoes, bugs, fleas, and other blood-sucking insects. This means that even a domestic rabbit could be bitten by a mosquito and contract this disease, which has no cure. Fact number 10. Rabbits do not need to be bathed. There is absolutely no need to wash your rabbit. In their natural habitat, these animals never come in contact with water. It is unnatural for them. Additionally, getting water in their ears can be very dangerous, and excessive washing can disrupt the protective function of their skin and lead to dermatitis. In general, bathing is very unnatural for rabbits. Like cats, rabbits take care of their fur by licking themselves and are perfectly capable of maintaining their cleanliness on their own. However, if your rabbit has a diarrhea or has become very dirty in some other way, you can wash them gently, preferably only the dirty areas, and then dry them thoroughly. If the water is not necessary and you can clean them with wet wipes, then use only hypoallergenic baby wipes only. In any other case, the rabbit will perfectly clean and groom itself. Here, by the way, lies another small problem. In our pursuit of beauty and aesthetic for rabbits, we have created many different breeds that are not very natural from a physiological standpoint. That's why many rabbits now have excessively long hair. When they groom themselves, they can swallow too many hairs, which can be harmful to their gastrointestinal tract. Therefore, long-haired rabbits need to be combed, and in some cases, they can even be trimmed. The most important thing for rabbits rabbits, regardless of their full length, is to give them malt paste. This is a special paste sold for cats that helps remove fur balls. At least once a week, it's helpful to give your rabbit a bit of malt paste. Luckily, most rabbits like it and will eat it straight from the tube. If your rabbit doesn't like it, you can always spread it on a treat or even on the rabbit itself. The rabbit will get upset at you spreading this pest on their majestic fur and will clean itself by licking the pest away. Fact number 11. Rabbits can tolerate overheating. Interestingly enough, they can handle being too cold. Don't assume that I'm suggesting you immediately test this on your pet rabbit. I'm not. But the fact remains, the rabbit handle low temperatures relatively well. However, when it comes to high temperatures, they can't tolerate overheating at all. In nature, rabbits are burrowing animals and can always find a cool burrow to escape the scorching sun. If the temperature in your home reaches 82 degrees or 28 Celsius, your rabbit will start to overheat and you will need to cool it down. Ideally, you should place your rabbit in an air-conditioned room, but if that's not possible, at least offer it various cooling mats, ice packs, and so on. Of course, the temperature I mentioned is approximate. The way your pet feels depends not only on the temperature, but also on the length of its fur and the relative humidity of the air. The longer the fur and the more humid climate, the earlier you will need to cool your rabbit. Watch your pets carefully. If they become more lethargic in the summer heat or their ears turn red and feel hot, these are clear signs of overheating. I don't want to scare you, but unfortunately rabbit deaths from heat stroke in the summer are not uncommon. Fact number 12. Rabbits are social creatures and they always need to interact with others. However, sometimes a human cannot replace the company of another rabbit, so ideally you should keep at least 2 rabbits together. And remember, despite the social behavior, rabbits don't have a hierarchy within their group, so it's impossible to train a rabbit using punishment. If you yell at or raise your hand to a rabbit, they will immediately assume you are their enemy. A rabbit will fear and either avoid or attack their enemies. So showing aggression towards your pet rabbit is not only inhuman but also pointless. But even if you have never mistreated your rabbit, you may end up with a pet with a difficult personality. Sometimes rabbits can be quite mean. It is unclear why most people think of rabbits as magical and fluffy clouds full of tenderness, blinking their beautiful eyes with long lashes and bringing only joy. I wanted to make sure that no one has false expectations. Rabbits can be troublesome and they can especially show their character during breeding season. Therefore, to make living with a rabbit more pleasant, it is better to have them fixed. Fact number 13 is everything I have already said before. It's better to vaccinate and check the bite of your rabbits and even fix them, and only a good veterinarian, a specialist in small exotic animals diseases who understand rabbit diseases, can do it. But in my opinion, it is necessary to find such a specialist in any case, because rabbits are alive. They live long and anything can happen. You always need to know where to go if you have problems. Regarding fixing, many are afraid of surgical interventions, but in fact small animal veterinary medicine is now very well developed and this procedure is no more dangerous than fixing cats or dogs. The important thing is that the specialist examines your pet and its readiness for intervention, as well as administers the correct anesthesia and properly guides you on what to do after the procedure. By the way, it's possible that the reason why such a fear of surgery has become entrenched among pet owners is connected to the fact that injectable anesthesia didn't work well with a lot of small animals. For example, xylitol caused kidney failure in 30% of rabbits. That will scare anyone, but now there are other safe and well-studied anesthetic protocols and types of anesthesia that are suitable for these animals. So there is something to think about, because leaving the animal fertile can sometimes be more dangerous, especially when it comes to rabbits. Female rabbits are super fertile. It's their survival strategy to produce as much offspring as possible. And because of their fertility, their hormone levels skyrocket and making them very prone to tumors of the reproductive system. Vets often mention that according to their statistic, an unsterilized female rabbit lives only only about 6 years and dies mainly due to tumors of the reproductive system. A sterilized female lives just as long as males, 10-12 years. Plus, sterilizing solves problems with the temperament and social life. Like many social animals, rabbits prefer to socialize with their own kind, and it is much easier for them to make friends with an individual with the opposite sex. When keeping animals of different sex together, it is necessary to have them sterilized in order to prevent them from wearing out their health by producing billions of bunnies, which are very difficult to find a home to. Fact number 14. Rabbits produce a lot of trash. Of course, it includes hay, droppings, fur, and things that rabbits love to chew on. These cute animals will produce a lot of trash. It's desirable to buy a robot vacuum along with the rabbit to clean up after it. It's worth mentioning that rabbits shed their coat, and this adds to the already existing mess. Also remember that fur can cause allergies, and not just fur. Hay, saliva, and other rabbit secretions can also cause an allergic reaction. The rule applies to all animals, but let me remind you, just in case, if you or members of your family are prone to allergies, it's better to interact with the animal before bringing it at home, or at least test yourself for allergies and be prepared for some mess in the home. If you are a neat freak, think 5 times before getting a rabbit. Fact number 15. You need to tame rabbit. Usually rabbits are not inclined to trust humans immediately. Yes, if you took a pet from a good breeder as a baby, or if you adopt one that was already been tamed and trained from a shelter, you will have fewer problems with the animal, but still you will be a new person to him. Your home will be unfamiliar for him, and this will be a stressful situation. Therefore, the rabbit may become distrustful, and you need to be patient with the fact that he's worried and anxious, and gradually and delicately establish contact with him. Talk to him in a calm voice. Let him slowly sniff your hands. Bribe him with treats. It may take even more than 1 week to establish a good connection. Please be patient with your rabbits. After all, these animals are hunted by anyone in nature, so stress and caution are a normal reaction for them. But establishing a good, harmonious connection is worth it, because if you tame rabbits, they will be very affectionate. Rabbits love being petted, scratched, and some even like being picked up, but you need to pick them up correctly, preferably under the rabbit's tummy and bottom. Make sure to give support to his legs so he understands that you can provide reliable support and you are not some hawk that was grabbed him and dragged him to eat on a branch high up in a tree. I also want to warn against picking up rabbits by their ears. This is a horrible relic of the past. Yes, they have big ears, but they are weak, have cartilage, and fill it with blood and very sensitive. Therefore, picking up a rabbit by the ears is inhuman and very painful for the animal. Please, just don't do it. And one more thing. Even wild rabbits can go into a trance if they are turned upside down. If you put a rabbit upside down, he may freeze and even seem to enjoy this situation. In reality, he is far away from enjoyment, as you can imagine. He closes his eyes and simply doesn't show any emotions. The heart rate can be very high, meaning that this is a stressful situation for the rabbit. I ask that you do not do this to your rabbits. It's not beneficial for them at all. Fact number 16. It is essential to train your pet rabbit and to teach all your household members how to interact with your domestic rabbit properly. At least because rabbits that haven't been tamed can bite quite hard and also can use their legs to kick their perceived enemies. Their legs are very strong with fairly large nails and they can kick very hard with them. So be careful with rabbits. They are relatively large and strong animals and they can harm you, especially if they feel threatened and need to defend themselves against an enemy. Until a person establishes a good trusting relationship with them, they will consider everyone an enemy. Oh, I always forgot to mention the nails. Rabbits' nails don't wear down enough when they are kept at home. That's why, when taking care of a rabbit, you have to monitor the length of their nails and trim them. If you are sure that you can do this correctly and not harm the blood vessels, you can use regular nail clippers for cats. Otherwise, get help from a specialist. Fact number 17. rabbits chew everything and cause destruction. In the video 5 Reasons Not to Get a Large Parrot, I mentioned that large parrots destroy everything around them. Parrots usually destroy things close to the ceiling. They chew curtain rods, wallpaper, top shelves, and the book that there are on those shelves. And rabbits do practically the same, but destruction takes place closer to the floor. For the safety of your home, it's better if all furniture and wall covering are made from materials can't be chewed. And for your pet's safety, it's very important to hide all wires from them, because if they chew on them, they can be electrocuted, which can easily lead to burns and can even cause the death of the animal. If your rabbit has many toys, lots of exercise, and everything is good, then there is a chance that your home and furniture will survive and not be destroyed. But nobody can give you any guarantees. Fact number 18. Rabbits can live quite long. With proper care, nutrition, and exercise, rabbits can live up to 10-12 years. In fact, a well-trained rabbit can bring a lot of joy to your family. So I believe that such a long lifespan is a big plus and something to strive for. However, in order for the lifespan to be really that long, it is necessary to reduce all risk factors. It is desirable to fix the rabbit. It is absolutely necessary to find a vet who understands diseases of rabbits. And it is important to know where you will go with the animal has problems. You should feed it properly, vaccinate it, and love it with all your heart. Fact number 19. Rabbits breed easily, so you shouldn't let them love each other too much. It is desirable to fix them or keep animals of the same sex. The fact that rabbits breed easily doesn't bring happiness neither to humans nor to the rabbits themselves. If you want to have a rabbit of a certain size, with a certain coat or certain personality traits, then you should buy rabbits from breeders, from good breeders who selectively breed these animals and raise them with the sole purpose of improving the breed. If you don't have any specific requirements for what your pet rabbit should look like, then adopting one from a shelter is the perfect option. Unfortunately, caring for rabbits is associated with a lot of inconveniences. That is why shelters for rabbits are often overcrowded with animals that people have impulsively bought or received as a gift for Easter, then found them too difficult to live with and can't figure out a better opinion other than surrendering them to a shelter. Sometimes people literally threw them out on the street or threw them in dumpsters. Shelters take care of these poor things. They often fix, litter, train, and tame them, effectively turning them into good, well-behaved pets. Not all shelters. But what's more, many shelters will be willing to take their pets if you learn that you can handle them. So taking an animal from such place is a wonderful option. Meanwhile, breeding animals willy-nilly or buying rabbits from careless breeders is bad, because there aren't many people who can and want to take care of them properly and will be sincerely happy with this type of companionship. And the 20th fact is that rabbits are awesome. If a rabbit is tame, it will recognize its owners, respond to its name, be playful, interesting, and very affectionate. They have a swiftly develop intelligence and can derive pleasure from training. They are very interesting and cute animals. Yes, they are unusual. Yes, they can make your whole house unusual and strange. But if you open your heart to a rabbit, life with it can be very pleasant and interesting. You can live happily with any pet. They can be happy and you can be happy. The most important thing is to know the whole truth about what to expect before deciding to get one. This has been the Bestiary Channel. Bye bye.